I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh, yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The host of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and we appreciate that. We want to thank all of our military, no matter where you are in this world. God bless you. May you all return home to your families after your tours of duty end. And that goes for our allied military forces, men and women. God bless you. May you all return home to your families when your tours of duty end. We appreciate you and we love you. Don't ever forget that. We love you, brothers and sisters. God bless you all. Folks, we want to welcome you here to Emergency Management Associates Network tonight. We apologize for the audio problem early on. Again, we forgot about YouTube. We can't forget about what they're doing. Okay? Don't you just love what's going on? It's incredible. I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff that's going on tonight, and I hope you would just bear with me because it's going to affect each and every one of us. It's going to affect everybody. I promise you that. Folks, we've had a lot going on today. Okay? A ton of stuff going on today. First off, over in San Francisco, wonderful town. That's San Francisco, the most liberal town in the United States, by far. Today, they decked out the streets of San Francisco with Chinese flags. There was not one American flag among them. Chinese President Xi Jinping was visiting San Francisco, and the San Franciscans wanted to make sure that he felt welcome. Prior to his visit today, during the past few days, the state of California cleaned up the streets of San Francisco. Doesn't that sound like a wonderful crime drama from years ago? The streets of San Francisco, full of homeless, and poop and pee, urine, stink, everything all over the streets. Well, folks, the state of California cleaned that up. For the first time in years, the streets of San Francisco smelled nice. There was no poop, no urine, no nothing on the streets. The homeless had been cleared out. Where did the homeless get put? Who knows? Probably in very expensive hotels all over the downtown area. But they had a meeting with Xi Jinping and other leaders, including Biden, was supposed to show up at one of those meetings. Incredible what they do for leadership of this country. They clean up the streets of San Francisco. Wouldn't that be nice for every street in California to be devoid of homeless, poop, and urine all over the streets? My wife, Carol, years ago, with our daughter, Katie, visited Los Angeles to see a musical group that was performing at the Staples Center. The entire area was infested with homelessness, and I'm not talking about an insect infestation. Homeless all over the streets, camped out, sleeping bags and torn blankets, some tents and torn tents all over the streets. Urine and feces all over the streets and sidewalks. It stunk while they walked to the Staples Center. And yet last night, the Los Angeles Lakers played, I believe it was Minnesota, at the Staples Center to a packed house. I wonder how many people stumbled over homeless people there on the way to the Staples Center last night. It's incredible. Okay? But not only did this happen here in San Francisco, a lot of other things also happened in San Francisco. Over here at the San Francisco Bay Bridge, I want to show you this video from this morning.
Department, approximately 250 CHP personnel are on scene. They're making active arrests as I speak, and they're towing vehicles as we speak, working with Caltrans and our law enforcement partners, and I'm welcome to take any questions.
Were you caught off guard?
I will say that we were not caught off guard. This was something that we were anticipating happening. We were here within a couple minutes, but they were planned. They worked together. They brought their vehicles to a stop on the freeway, and that got accomplished within seconds.
What kind of charges are the people facing?
That's something that we're going to have to work with the San Francisco District Attorney. We're going to look for the full array of charges that we can press, not only impacting traffic, impacting emergency vehicles, and not allowing people to have movement. And so we'll be looking at what those various charges are and working together to increase those charges based upon people working together to do this.
How many police officers total do you think are here?
I would estimate right now total police officers among the various agencies approximately 250.
What's your estimate of reopening the bridge?
So our goal is within 15 to 20 minutes to hopefully have one lane open. It could take up to 30 minutes, but as we work through the crowd, there's vehicles that are abandoned and vehicles that they took their keys and they tossed them into the bay. And so we have to tow those vehicles. We have no other choice. Ultimately, we don't want to open the lanes until it's safe to do so for all people. But as quickly as we can, we do want to get one lane at least open.
And for our viewers who are just tuning in and watching live right now, repeat how many people were arrested, how many vehicles you still have to remove.
So 50 people approximately have been arrested so far. 15 vehicles have been towed. Again, those keys were tossed into the bay, and that's that calculated movement of working together that they did. We could still have 5, 10, 15 more cars to tow. Each time we work our way through the next set of vehicles, we're finding abandoned cars and more protesters. We estimate another 25 to 50 arrests could be made today.
Okay, 25 to 50 more arrests today, this morning. Pro-Palestinian protesters threw their keys, got out of their cars, stopped it, threw their keys into the drink, into San Francisco Bay. Thinking, and they thought very hard about it, they planned this protest, they sat on the bridge, and they chained themselves together. Police officers had to get bolt cutters brought out to them because the protesters chained themselves together to make sure that the police would not remove them very quickly. Once police got the bolt cutters out and started cutting the chains, which was similar to a tactic that they have used in the past of snaking themselves together. The cars had to be found, they had to be towed off the bridge. Now, I want to tell you guys, this was a very dangerous proposition. Why am I saying that? What have we been talking about for the past 4.5 years on this program? We've been talking about earthquakes. What if the Hayward Fault let loose with another 6.9 earthquake? What if the Cascadia megathrust earthquake happened and all of a sudden there was a 9.5, 10.0 earthquake in San Francisco? Hundreds, if not thousands, of people would have died today on the San Francisco Bay Bridge because these clowns decided to stop all movement on the bridge, starting at 8:30 this morning. There were people that complained that they could not get to the airport in time. People missed their flights. There was one pregnant lady that had a doctor's appointment that missed her appointment because she was stuck out on the bridge. What happened? What would have happened if we had had a 6.9 earthquake on the Hayward Fault? And again, the double-decker San Francisco Bay Bridge gone down. Or the Cascadia megathrust earthquake with a 9.5, 10.0 earthquake happened here. Just because these pro-Palestinian protesters wanted to protest when the President of the United States and the President of China were meeting for the first time in San Francisco. What if? Okay? Now, fortunately, the various police departments, including the California Highway Patrol, the San Francisco Bay Bridge entourage of the California Highway Patrol, got the bridge cleared, and it took them about 3 hours. They opened up one lane on the emergency side of the bridge, the emergency side where people break down in. They opened that up within the first hour and got one lane of traffic going. There were 2 other lanes that they wanted to open up. There's a total of 4 lanes in one direction here. The other 2 lanes were occupied by police and also tow trucks that police had stationed there because they got their intelligence that this was going to happen. And when it happened, they were right there ready to deal with it. 200 police officers on the bridge, along with tow trucks, just waiting to tow these vehicles away. One commentator said this morning, and I thought it was quite funny, all you'd have to do is put a message on the Spanish-speaking radio stations that the police were seeking people to tow these vehicles off the bridge, and the next thing you know, people from the Hispanic-speaking area of San Francisco would be right there towing those vehicles off, and those vehicles could then be found south of the San Diego border, probably within 8 hours. Yeah, that's what one of the commentators said. Incredible. Yes, it was a big deal. Okay? The Palestinian protesters got their message across with police arresting people, just like Xi Jinping would do in China if people tried to protest in China. People immediately arrested. That's what would happen. It happened today on the San Francisco Bay Bridge. Incredible numbers of people arrested. Okay? 50 to 75 people arrested here on the Bay Bridge. Okay? Crazy. Crazy. People throwing their car keys into the water. These people will be brought into court on all kinds of charges that the police, the highway patrol, and the San Francisco district attorney could get the charges together and literally imprison those people for a good long time. And that's exactly what they need to do. Again, officers had to cut the chains and arrest the individuals. Now, something that I want to put out, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. Never mind the words. Look at the actions. The actions speak volumes. Okay? They want to protest. They want to call the establishment names. But their actions are violations of law. Their actions are violations of law. The CHP had to be out there for hours. They probably got out there about 6 a.m. to block off 2 lanes of traffic so they could bring in 200 officers and tow trucks, because they had gotten the intelligence that this was going to happen. They stationed officers on one side of the bridge, road service, so they could get ready for whatever was going to happen. When the incident happened, they started to take action immediately to limit the time the protest took place. Freedom of speech is guaranteed until it inconveniences other people, or interferes with the movement of other people, or interferes with other people's lives. California is so screwed up. Since 2017, for example, and this is a good one, since 2017, the state of California has also spent more than $4 million of taxpayer money on sex reassignment procedures on 157 California prison inmates, giving those inmates female assignment, breasts and other cosmetic and female facial reconstruction procedures in prison. Yet, if people have pain in the back molars of their mouth, the California prison system will not give them root canals. Dental procedures are banned within the California prison system. Okay? Yet, the state of California will use taxpayer money to give them sex reassignment procedures. Okay? Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild? These people that protested today, They don't even know what's really going on and what is behind their protest. I'll tell you what is behind their protest. Please, folks, don't use these initials in the chat. Someone just did. It could get me in a lot of trouble. Okay? Please don't use these initials in the chat. This organization is pressuring United States citizens to protest against the government. Okay? And this organization right here is also pushing Hamas to do what they're doing. To kill people in Israel. To force Israel into a war against Hamas. That's exactly what that organization wants. Okay? It's incredible what we're seeing. It's incredible what we're seeing and what we know is happening. Okay? Now, I'm going in to talk about earthquakes and other things that are going on. I will get back to some politics in just a minute. Michael McKinney says this doesn't make any sense. You're absolutely right. It doesn't make much sense. But they're getting away with it. Just like they get away with everything else around town. Okay? Literally around town. We've seen this going on for quite some time. This is not the beginning, nor will it be the end. Okay? It's going to continue. I promise you that. It will continue. Let's go over here to the South Pacific. We go here all the time. Over here in the southern Fiji region, again, we have another 5.0 earthquake. 365 miles deep. 365 miles deep. 595 kilometers deep. A very deep earthquake. This is also going to result in a 6.3 earthquake as a result of this earthquake. Remember, these deep earthquakes propagate stronger, more shallow quakes. Just like that earthquake yesterday that was a 5.0. Guess what? This one is too. We're going to continue to see 6.3, 6.4, and I believe even 6.5 earthquakes generated down here in the South Pacific. Going further south, a 4.5 earthquake here. Okay? It's crazy. This 4.5 earthquake is 335 miles deep. 335 miles deep. This earthquake is going to generate a 5.8 magnitude earthquake. Again, deep earthquakes propagate stronger, shallower earthquakes. Okay? Stronger, shallower earthquakes. They always do. It's nothing that's not going to continue. We know for a fact it's going to continue. It's been going on for a very long time. A very, very long time. Now, folks, you can say whatever you want, or anybody can say whatever they want. It's a fact. It's based on scientific fact. It's happened before, and it will happen again. Okay? The South Pacific is known for these earthquakes. been known for these earthquakes. Now, I want to show you something. This is very telling about the different agencies. Okay? I want to show you something. Look at the European map. The EMSC is putting out this map of earthquakes. They're not even showing these earthquakes here that the USGS is showing. However, they are showing earthquakes over here in New Zealand. 3 on the North Island. Okay? Up here on one of the faults that's coming from Fiji. Hamarena, New Zealand has a 2.33 earthquake here, just south of the Bay of Plenty, or what we affectionately call the Catcher's Mitt. Okay? We had 10 earthquakes here yesterday, 3 here on the North Island today. Going over to the eastern shore of the North Island, on the south side of the North Island, I should say, getting a little tongue-tied here, over in Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay, we're seeing a 2.45 here. Sorry about that. There's a 2.45 near Hawke's Bay there. Okay? On the other side. Okay? This one is over in the Cook Strait. The Cook Strait. We have a 2.30 earthquake here. A 2.3 earthquake. Okay? On the South Island here, we have a 2.49 here. This is near Christchurch. A 2.39 right near Christchurch, New Zealand. Okay? Interesting how that happens, isn't it? A little bit crazy, huh? And guess what? We just had another one here. Again, this is at the Bay of Plenty at the shoreline. A 2.2 earthquake just hit. Just now. The Bay of Plenty here. That's typical of what we see in New Zealand. Okay? Let's move over here to Papua New Guinea and New Zealand and Indonesia here. Okay? Folks, here in Papua New Guinea today we see a 4.7. This is the same place where we saw a 5.6 hit here last week. A 4.7 aftershock here. 4.5 miles deep. A very shallow earthquake. Over here in Papua New Guinea, this is another 5.0 earthquake. This is an aftershock of a 6.2 that hit here last week. Almost in the exact same spot last week. Up here in the hills of Papua Indonesia. Okay? Let's move west. Isn't it interesting how we have 4 earthquakes in Indonesia today? Only 4. Look at this. Another aftershock in the Banda Sea. This is a 4.4 aftershock, a 4.4 moderate earthquake here in the Banda Sea. Also 6.5 miles deep. 6.5 miles deep. Just over 10 kilometers deep here. Going further south here, Kupang, Indonesia, a 4.6. Isn't that something? A moderate 4.6 here, down here at the southern end of one of these islands here. Kupang, Indonesia. Folks, guess what? There are people that live in this area. Guess what? They felt this earthquake. Given normal circumstances here in the United States, a 4.6 earthquake would not have mattered too much. It would have rattled some nerves, maybe knocked some pictures off of some walls, or knocked some books or knickknacks off of shelves. But here in this area, these people do not have homes like we do here in the United States, or Britain, or Scandinavia. This is a third world country. Their homes and buildings are not such as we have. There's probably some damage, some moderate damage here. USGS doesn't want to label these moderate earthquakes. They're calling them light earthquakes. Heaven forbid they allow people to know the truth of exactly what is going on. Over here in southern Sumatra, they're showing a 4.6 earthquake here, just off the coast of southern Sumatra. This earthquake was 37 miles deep. Okay? What the USGS is not showing is this. Look at all the earthquakes in Indonesia, going up into the Philippines, upwards near Taiwan, and even an earthquake or two over here in Australia. Let's look at those first. Okay? Just off the coast of northern Australia, northwestern Australia, we have a 3.36 earthquake here. A 3.36 earthquake here, just off the coast of northwestern Australia. Down here near Perth, Arthur River, Australia, we have a 2.51. Sorry, a 2.51 down here, near Perth, Australia. Arthur River, Australia here. Okay? We have all kinds of earthquakes here in Indonesia. 2.4s, 2.7s, 3.5s, 3.47s, 4.5s, 4.8s, 4.2 earthquakes, all over Indonesia. Literally. This is one of the 2.8s here. Okay? Here's a 4.3, just off the coast of Sumatra. Okay? In the Banda Sea, here's another 2.9. Like I said, there are plenty of earthquakes here. Okay? Now, let's take a trip up to the Philippines. Just off the northeast coast of the Philippines, we have another 4.0 earthquake. But it's not just one earthquake here. There's two. This happens to be a larger 4.6. This happens to be the larger 4.6 earthquake, just off the northeast coast of Mindanao, Philippines. Okay? USGS not showing it, do they? Interesting how that happens. Off the west coast of the Philippines, central west coast, we have another 4.1 moderate earthquake. Okay? Then, in western or southwestern Luzon, Philippines, right on top of the earthquake fault, San Jose, Philippines, in Luzon, we have a 3.0 earthquake. Right on top of the plate. The edge of the plate there. That edge of the plate goes up to Taiwan. Let's show you this. Off the southeast coast of Taiwan, we have a 3.3 here. A 3.3. Over to the right of that earthquake, over to the east of that earthquake, there's another edge of the plate there. Okay? The plate. Now, I want to show you something, guys. USGS shows nothing. We have one earthquake down here off the coast of Japan, in the Izu Islands. This happened yesterday, a 4.4 earthquake. Today, European agency is not showing any earthquakes anywhere near Japan. Okay? That 4.4 earthquake hit yesterday at 9:49 p.m. yesterday evening in the Izu Islands. Today, nothing. Not a thing. USGS is not showing anything over in Myanmar. Myanmar, Thailand, that area, remember them? Okay? Here is a 2.0 in Thailand. A 2.0 over in Thailand today. Not to be outdone, there's also a 2.6 over here in Laos, Cambodia. A 2.6 in Laos, Cambodia. Okay? One of the people in chat said that there is a discrepancy between the number of thumbs up or likes and the number of people watching this program. Presently, we have at least 71 likes. Let me refresh this and make sure that's the number. My monitor says 72 likes now. Folks, we have supposedly 112 people watching this program with only 72 likes. Please, folks, before you leave tonight, please make sure you give us a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. Okay? Again, the United States Geological Survey is not showing another earthquake that's over in the eastern Himalayas. This one is a 3.5 earthquake in the eastern Himalayas. A 3.5. Now, while that's in the Himalayas, that's the edge of the plate. That's the edge of the plate. Now, as we move westward, what do you think we're going to see? Does anybody have an idea about what we're going to see here? The USGS has this right here. A moderate 4.2 earthquake, 143 miles deep, down into the asthenosphere. The European agency has that same earthquake as well. Okay? So far, right there at least, the USGS is at least doing a job. They're not showing those others, but they've got that one. Down here, near the Gulf of Yemen, or what's it called? The Gulf of Aden here, the Gulf of Aden, we have a 4.7 earthquake over here off the coast of Yemen. off the coast of Yemen. The European agency doesn't even have that. Notice the discrepancies. These discrepancies did not exist until about 2 months ago. All of a sudden, the European agency is showing a lot of discrepancies. A ton of discrepancies. Now, over here, in the border area of Turkey and Syria, the USGS is showing nothing. Not one earthquake. The European agency is showing 10 earthquakes. 10 earthquakes here in this region. Now, I'm not going to go through and show you every earthquake magnitude here, but I'm going to tell you. Over in eastern Turkey, a 2.5, 2.3, 3.3, 2.0, 2.3, 2.3, and then a 2.8. Up here at 2.8. USGS not showing anything. Kimberly Hopkins just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you, Kimberly. We appreciate that. God bless you for that. We really, really appreciate that. That means a lot to us. We appreciate all of you who support our channel here in Super Chat. We also appreciate those who send us support over on Venmo and PayPal. Just below this program tonight, in the top of the program description, you're going to see 2 Venmo locations and 2 PayPal locations and 1 Venmo location. Here in this program, after we remove the USGS earthquake map, you'll see our broadcast banner with our P.O. Box. P.O. Box 422, Valdese, Valdese, North Carolina. Zip code is 28690. So far for the past 2.5 weeks, we've not gotten one card or letter. We got a care package from a family over in Reno earlier this week on Monday, but nothing else. We hope to receive some cards and letters. I love cards and letters, guys. I really do. And you can even stick donations in those cards and letters. We do get those. Okay? Anyway, USGS is not showing anything there in Turkey. Why not? Inquiring minds want to know. Well, folks, they're not showing anything in Turkey. Yet in western Turkey, we have 3 earthquakes. Western Turkey, we have 3 earthquakes. Okay? Northwestern Turkey, a 3.4. Over along the coastline of Turkey, Western Turkey, a 2.8 and a 2.5. That 2.5 is actually in the Volcanic Islands just offshore from Turkey. The Volcanic Islands belongs to Greece. So that 2.5 there near the northern shore of Turkey really isn't. That is in the Volcanic Islands belonging to Greece. And speaking of which, further out into the Mediterranean, just north of Crete, we have 2 other earthquakes here. A 3.0 and a 2.1. A 3.0 and a 2.1 just north of Crete. Wonderful thing. Then just south of Crete, we have a 2.0. So there's activity over near Crete in the western Mediterranean. Then just offshore, off the eastern shore of Greece, we have a 2.1. We have a 2.1 and a 2.0 here. just off the eastern shore of Greece. 2.1 there and a 2.0 just south of there. Going up into the, oh come on. Going up into the sea over here, I think it's called the Adriatic here, we have a 2.2 over here in Greece. A 2.2 in the Adriatic there. Okay? On the western side of that. On the western side of that, we have 3 earthquakes. 3 earthquakes. A 2.1, a 2.3, and a 2.7 there. The western, just off the western islands of Greece there. 3 2s. 3 2s. Usually, folks, this whole area of Greece that I'm showing you here is full of earthquakes. Upwards of 25 earthquakes every day. 25 earthquakes every day. So far, we've got 6 and 3 earthquakes near Crete. That's a huge difference. That's a huge difference. Now, I want to show you this other area that does not have any earthquakes. This is Patras, Greece. Patras, Greece, named after the Apostle Peter here. Patras, Greece. Usually that whole area there has probably 10 earthquakes, and they're just tremors. 1.0, 1.2, 1.5, 1.7, those kind of tremors. But that's all. That's all. Today, USGS is not showing any at all. Rarely do they ever. They're not showing anything over here in Italy either. They're not showing anything in Italy. But folks, look what we have in Italy. Okay? Let's start over here just off the island of Sicily here. 3 earthquakes. 3 earthquakes. A 2.2 and a 2.0. 2.2 and a 2.0, and just north east of there we have a 2.3. Okay? Let's go over here into central Italy. Now folks, this is an unusual area here, because this area continues to get hammered by minor tremors and earthquakes. In this case, folks, there's a 2.2, a 2.3, and another 2.0. Right there. Umbria, Italy. Umbria, Italy here. Just north there off the coast here is a 2.18. A 2.18. Now, as we go north into Italy, this is Romagna, Italy, or Romagna, Italy. This is a 2.0 here. Here's a 2.0. Why am I taking the time to show you all these earthquakes here? Because usually there's a bunch of them. Folks, over here near Umbria, Italy, we've had upwards of 20 earthquakes a day. 20 earthquakes a day in this region, and lately there has been just 2 or 3. It's very interesting how that happens. Okay? Over in Romagna, a 2.0. Okay? Then we go over into France, or I'm sorry, not France, Switzerland. Here's a 2.0 in Switzerland. Okay? Here in Switzerland, it's not normal not to have something there. Usually we have tremors there. USGS is not showing anything there. Not a thing. Interesting how we are. Okay? Then we go over into Algeria here. Algeria here. We have a 2.3 over here in Algeria. Okay? over off the coast of Portugal, the Azores, we have two 2.0 earthquakes, San Vicente, Azores, just off the coast of Portugal. Then we go further south in Africa, in Morocco. We have a mid-range 3.7 earthquake here in Morocco. Okay? Then we go over to Spain, to the Canary Islands, not to Spain, but to the Canary Islands, and guess what we have? There's a 2.0 there. There's a 2.0 there. Then the island south of La Palma, Sabinosa, Canary Islands, we have a 2.6. Just a 2.6 here. Okay? Again, in the Canary Islands. Now, I want to go over here to this wonderful area called Iceland. Good old Iceland. We have 10 plus earthquakes here. 10 plus earthquakes. Let me show you something, guys. USGS, 0. 10 plus earthquakes. Look where we have them. At the volcano just north of where we've had all the problems with magma. Okay? All those problems with magma. We talked about this last night. Okay? This area is getting hammered. Hammered. They evacuated this town the day before yesterday. They totally evacuated the town. Now, folks, they didn't want to. They had to. Their emergency management agency said it was no longer safe for people to be there. No longer safe for people to be there. Folks, it's not safe still. The EMSC is showing 9 earthquakes there and 1 earthquake northeast of there. Okay? Grindavik is not safe still. It's getting hammered by earthquakes. Magma is just beneath the surface there in Grindavik. It's not safe. We showed you fissures that opened up in Grindavik. Those fissures, folks, are spewing gas out of the fissure. Steam out of the fissure from magma beneath the surface. It's very likely that we may see a volcanic eruption here. We may see a volcanic eruption right here. This is where that fissure opened up yesterday. That fissure we showed you news clips of steam coming out of. That fissure starts up here and it cuts through the town and goes all the way down here and even south of there as well. A great big 9-mile long fissure. a 9-mile-long fissure. Does that sound familiar? No, they did not have a 7.0 or an 8.0 or a 9.0 earthquake. They've had a couple of 5s here. But they have volcanism going on. A lot of volcanism going on. They may not be able to reopen this town. They're going to wait another few weeks to see what happens here. But this area is still getting hit with earthquakes. Quite a few earthquakes. 9 earthquakes total here. Okay? Up and down that fault line. Up here to the north, a 2.5. Just south of there, a 2.1, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.5, 4.3. A 4.3 near, guess what? It's right near the Blue Lagoon geothermal spa there. And it's also just south, it's just south of all the turbines that generate electricity to the entire island, where man has drilled into the upper magma chambers of the volcano to obtain steam to power turbines to generate that electricity. A 4.3 earthquake just south of there today. Okay? Just south of there. Notice something else that the USGS map is not showing you. Look at the Mid-Atlantic Fault. The Mid-Atlantic Fault is right between that plant, the Blue Lagoon, and Grindavik. Okay? The Mid-Atlantic Fault, cutting the island of Iceland in half. In half. That's what's going on there. But again, this agency's not showing that, are they? They're not showing it. How interesting is that? There are no earthquakes here shown on the Mid-Atlantic Fault. None at all. None at all. There are earthquakes in Puerto Rico, as you can see here. I'm going to show you these. This over here, near the U.S. Virgin Islands here. This is a 3.7. Over here, just northwest of Puerto Rico here, this is a 2.9. A 2.9. Over off the southeast coast of the Dominican Republic, we have a 3.7. USGS, in its infinite wisdom, doesn't show the other earthquake in central Dominican Republic. That's a 3.6. A 3.6. Interesting how that happens, doesn't it? USGS showing one earthquake over here off the coast of El Salvador. This is a 4.3 moderate earthquake. This is 35 miles deep. The EMSC European agency concurs. The USGS only shows one earthquake over here in northern Chile. Ogagu, Chile. I know I'm mispronouncing that. Ollagle. Ogagu, not L-I-E. Let me spell that again. Ollague. Ogagu, Chile. A moderate 4.5. Folks, let me show you something. Look at the earthquakes in Chile today. A lot of them. A lot of them. Starting over in central Chile at the Argentine border. San Juan, Argentina with a 3.0. The Chilean-Argentine border. San Juan, Argentina. That's a 3.0. Further, that same area, another 3.0, a 3.8. .8 there. Okay? What else is going on? Another 3.1 just north of that. Okay? Then off the coast of central Chile, Atacama, Chile, a 3.2. North of there, also just at the coast, Puerto Viejo, Atacama, Chile, with a 3.7. USGS shows 1. We're showing 6 just in that area. Then up in northern Chile, okay, USGS showing a 4.5. We're showing 4 earthquakes there. 3.1, 2.8, 4.5, 4.5, and the other 3.5. Okay, a 4.5 up here in northern Chile. Okay, a 4.5. Go figure. Okay, Peru. This one's a 4.1. Southern Peru. But wait, there's another one up in the Andes Mountains. That's a 3.7. Okay? USGS, 0. Northern Peru, a 4.2. A 4.2 in northern Peru. Colombia, a 2.9. A 2.9. What do we have here? Okay. Seventeen earthquakes in South America. USGS 1. One earthquake shown over here in El Salvador. USGS 1, EMSC 1. Neither one of them are showing earthquakes in southern Mexico. There are earthquakes here. There's about 20 earthquakes in southern Mexico. Both agencies, 0. 0. Who would have thunk? In the past, the EMSC European Agency would show dozens of earthquakes literally all over the world. Now, they're stooping low enough to mimic the U.S. agency. They don't want to rile anybody up. They don't want to get people worried. Everyone should be very concerned when the agencies are not reporting information. Going up here to the Pacific Northwest. Stanwood, Washington. Stanwood, Washington. Guys, this is in the Puget Sound area. A 3.5 earthquake just happened. Northeast of there, a 1.1. Interesting. They're not showing anything at Mount Rainier. Fascinating. Mount St. Helens, look what they're showing. 5 tremors here at Mount St. Helens. Right down here, under the throat, under the huge volcanic rock here, the plug of the volcano. A 0.2 microquake here. 4.5 miles deep. Right next to it, a 0.3. Just over here on the western flank, a 0.1. All microquakes. Then down here in the foothills, the southern foothills, Mount St. Helens, another 0.4. Southwestern St. Helens foothills, 0.1. Folks, I showed you last night where we had tremors and earthquakes and microquakes. Mount St. Helens is still very active. Mount St. Helens should be on an earthquake watch and an eruption watch. Should be under condition yellow, code yellow, caution at Mount St. Helens. They should be, maybe ought to evacuate people from around the mountain. That's my opinion. There are more earthquakes here than they've had in the 15 years. There have been more earthquakes here in the last 2 weeks than they've had here in 15 years. Kathy Clark says Mud Fossil University in Utah might give you a new perspective on what is a volcano. That's interesting. I've never heard of Mud Fossil University in Utah. Kathy Clark, send me an email. I would love to find out about Mud Fossil University in Utah. Okay? Kimberly Hopkins is saying here, Mount St. Helens is getting very concerning. It's been very concerning ever since 2 weeks ago when they started seeing all these earthquakes around Mount St. Helens and said, hey, maybe Mount St. Helens is going to erupt. I'm going to say, hey, guys, it's still getting hit with earthquakes. Duh. South of Mount St. Helens, Yacolt, Washington, a 1.6 tremor. This area has magma channels under the ground here. I believe that's what we're seeing these tremors and earthquakes at. Magma channels feeding the volcanoes. Kathy Clark says we've had no quakes in hours. That's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, Kathy Clark says University, Mud Fossil University on YouTube. Oh, I'm sorry. I blame Mud Fossil University on Utah. Sorry, guys in Utah. You don't have a Mud Fossil University. Sometimes I wondered about that. I won't make fun of Utah, I promise. Kathy Clark says New Zealand. Worried. I'd be worried if I was in New Zealand as well. Last night we showed you a 4.1 earthquake on the north side of Topo Volcano. They're having all kinds of earthquakes and tremors around Topo Lake, Topo Volcano. Topo Lake is a lake on top of a volcano, just like Clear Lake is, just like Crater Lake is in south central Oregon, a huge lake at the top of the volcano, and people ought to be worried. People should be worried in the Puget Sound, because folks, guess what? I can show earthquakes and tremors all over the Puget Sound. Friday Harbor. Friday Harbor. How about the landfill they call Seattle-Tacoma Airport? Earthquakes there as well. They're just not reporting them. Kathy Clark says tremors are on South Island in Inchbonny. Yeah, I bet if I started investigating, there'd be a lot of earthquakes there. I can imagine. Even the European agency used to show earthquakes there. They've cut back on their reporting as well. It's sad. It's very sad. This agency is not what it used to be. USGS is not what it used to be either. Folks, there's a lot going on, as you can see. Southern California. Going down into Southern California. Well, first, this is the geysers. This is 100 miles north of San Francisco Bay. This area normally has 20, 25 earthquakes every day. Look at all these red quakes. Microquakes, most of these. 0.8, 0.7, 0.8, 1.5, 0.6. The geysers is a geothermal facility here. They've got 80 turbines here. Man has drilled into the upper magma chambers of this Clear Lake volcano to obtain steam to power these turbines down here in the geysers. The turbines provide power to Pacific Gas and Electric and 3 other energy conglomerates. Isn't that interesting? Including Rocky Mountain Power in Utah. Okay? Down here in San Francisco Bay Area, on the Hayward Fault. This is a 1.5 tremor near Oakland, California. They say it's 3 miles southeast of Oakland. Well, folks, let's zoom in here. I'd say it's in Oakland here. It's on the outskirts of Oakland, but it's in Oakland, California nonetheless. On the Hayward Fault. On the Hayward Fault. And not to be outdone, further south also on Hayward is Alum Rock. This is a 1.4 tremor on the Hayward Fault. Isn't it interesting how we have nothing here on the San Andreas over here in the southern Cascadia region? The southern Cascadia region. Folks, This morning, and I should have saved the seismograms, this morning I saw plenty of tremors and even minor earthquakes over here in this area, off the coast of California here, on the Gorda Escarpment. 2.3 earthquakes. They're not showing them here because they don't want anybody to know what's going on. But plenty of tremors and microquakes and everything else here. Guess what? It's related to magma. Most of it's related to magma, guys. Magma. Even over here in the Shasta and Lassen area, earthquakes and tremors all over this area. Tons of them. Magma related. Magma related. Over here in Northern California. Actually, I'm sorry, this is Cold Springs, Nevada at the California border here. This is 1.5. We have other tremors and earthquakes around Lake Tahoe. They're not telling us about. They're not telling us about. Earthquakes over here near Mono Lake. Mono Lake. This is Aurora Bodie craters here. Guess what? A 1.8 tremor here in Aurora Bodie craters. That's typical here. We have earthquakes and tremors around here, around Mono Lake. A bunch of them. Over here in Mammoth, and Long Valley, tremors and earthquakes here as well. Okay? Of course, they're not showing them. Look at this swarm of quakes here. Okay? Indian Springs, Nevada. Okay? That's a minus 0.3 in the hills. In the hills. Minus 0.3 says it's above sea level. This one here is also a minus 0.1. The fact of the matter is this. They say it's above sea level, but folks, this was 3 miles deep. 3 miles deep. This one here, minus 0.1, 4.8 miles deep. It's not above sea level. This one here, again, the minus 0.3. Sorry, folks, this might be right. This is 1/4 of a mile deep. This one might be above sea level. Okay? How about this? California-Nevada border. By the way, guys, this is all magma here. This is all magma. This is minus 0.1. 4.1 miles deep. It's not a minus number, guys. They're lying to us. This is a supposed surface quake at Furnace Creek, California. This is magma, guys. This is magma. Okay? Furnace Creek. Why do you think they call it Furnace Creek? One, it's out in the middle of the desert. Two, can you say Koza volcano? Koza volcano is also over this area. Very interesting. This is not a surface quake, guys. This is 2.3 miles deep. How can it be a surface quake when it's 2.3 miles deep? Inquiring minds want to know, USGS. Stop lying to us. This earthquake here. Can we say Art Bell? Art Bell, 30 miles 30 miles northwest of Art Bell. Pahrump, Nevada, 0.2 microquake. This is a 0.3. This is also 4 miles deep, northwest of Art Bell. Okay? It's incredible, guys. It's really incredible. We go south here. This is Summerlin, South Nevada. This is 1.6 tremor, right smack dab in the middle of a volcanic area. Right smack dab in the middle of a volcanic area. This whole area is volcanic. Okay? Incredible, but true. Okay? It's crazy. Then we go south over here, southwest. Ridgecrest, California. Ridgecrest, California, guys. This is a 1.5 tremor here in Ridgecrest. We follow the fault down here, the Garlock Fault. We follow it southwest over here, and we have another quake. This time it's on the San Andreas. Mountain Club, California. A 1.2 tremor here. 6.5 miles deep on the San Andreas Fault. We follow the San Andreas further south. Lucky thing. 1.2 in Cabazon. On the east side of the fault, Bear City, California. 1.0 tremor. Yucca Valley, a 1.4 tremor here. Also 4.5 miles deep. West of the fault, Cabazon. South of Cabazon, we have Idlewild, California. This is all part of the Anza Gap area. It's also volcanic. It's also volcanic. South of Idlewild. By the way, Idlewild is in the San Bernardino Mountains. South of Idlewild, we're all of a sudden in North San Diego County, what they call the Guanga, the Anza Gap. A 0.7 microquake here. We go south of there. All of a sudden, we're northeast of Escondido. Lake Henshaw again. How many times have we talked about Lake Henshaw? Folks, this just happens to be northeast of Lake Henshaw. About 4 miles northeast of Lake Henshaw. This is a 0.3 microquake, and wouldn't you know, this is 8.3 miles deep. The Elsinore Fault here, guys. The Elsinore Fault. 8.3 miles deep here. We follow the Elsinore Fault south. Borrego Springs, the Anza Borrego Desert State Park, northeast San Diego County. A 1.3 tremor here. Further south, again, this one just happens to be on the Elsinore Fault. This is Ocotillo Wells. We have a series of tremors here. 1.3 and 1.4 tremors in Ocotillo Wells. Fascinating. Fascinating. Folks, give me a second. I have to reload the USGS map because they've stopped it. Go figure. So we're going to reload this here, and we're going to show you a few more earthquakes here in Southern California. And by far, this is not all of them. By far, it's not all of them. Okay? I want to make sure you understand it's not all of them. Okay? There are a lot more earthquakes than that. Okay? We told you about that one northeast of Lake Hanshot, which is northeast of Escondido, California. This one here is that earthquake here I showed you. Okay? Further south, Borrego Springs. North of there, also Oasis, California. This is over on the eastern side of the Chocolate Mountains. Okay? It's just a small, tiny town here in the middle of the desert, 11 miles southwest of Oasis. This is a 1.3 tremor, 7 miles deep. Interesting, huh? This one is south of Salton City. South of Salton City. This is on the San Jacinto Fault. This is a 1.4 tremor here on the fault line. We go further south and we only have one other earthquake, and it is south of the border, Progreso, California. This is a 1.5 tremor just south of the border. Now they're not showing any earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley. They're not showing any earthquakes here at Bombay Beach. What a crock that is. There's plenty of seismic energy here at Bombay Beach. Every week I've shown you seismic energy here at Bombay Beach in the form of 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes. Yes, they shaved down the top and the bottom of those earthquakes, but they're still large earthquakes. They're not large 5.0 by any means. They're small 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes here at Bombay Beach. Okay? Over here in Nyland and Calipatria, California, there's over 100. I'm saying there's over 100 1.0 tremors and 2.0 earthquakes down here in Nyland and Calipatria, California. Always, every day and twice on Sundays. That's a joke. That's a joke. Over here in Westmoreland, plenty of earthquakes and tremors. 1.2 tremors, upwards of 2.0 earthquakes here in Westmoreland. A bunch of them. Okay? Now, I'm going to take you out to El Centro Naval Air Station. The good old El Centro Naval Air Station. Plenty of earthquakes here. That's on it. But by the way, here's another one of those banks of turbines here. This is another turbine facility here. But south of there is El Centro Naval Air Station. I've got to find it here. I thought I had it here. I always thought I had it here. I'm sorry. Anyway, over here at Naval Air Station El Centro, there's a bunch of earthquakes. And a bunch of tremors here. If I could find El Centro here. Nope, no cigar there. Boy, I'm losing my touch. I'm totally losing my touch here, guys. I've known this area very seriously for a very long time. I was here all the time. Sometimes once every other week. But El Centro Naval Air Station has probably 18 earthquakes and tremors, anywhere from 2.0s on up to 3.2, 3.3. Now folks, some of those are magmatic tremors and earthquakes as well, because there's magma beneath them, there are hills. Okay? Plenty of them. Over here, this is Imperial, the town of Imperial. Earthquakes and tremors here as well. A bunch of them. A bunch of them. Now, right here. Folks, this is the Salton Sea Desert Research Station here. Holtville, California. Minor earthquakes and tremors here. Okay? All over the Imperial Valley here. Bunch of earthquakes and tremors. USGS never shows anything here. Almost never shows, I can't say never, almost shows never, or almost never shows earthquakes here in the Imperial Valley. Okay? It's crazy. Southwestern Texas. We told you about swarms of earthquakes here yesterday. This is a 2.0 in Mentone, Texas. Folks, this area is having earthquakes because it's right smack dab in the middle of oil and gas pumping operations. Oil and gas pumping operations. There's a small pond here where they put reclaimed water here. Okay? Sewage, reclaimed sewage here. There's one just south of there, several south of there right here. This is oil and gas pumping operations here. Okay? That is a 2.0. This is another 2.5. This earthquake here is a 2.1. Mentone, Texas. Further west, they say this is 30 miles west of Mentone, Texas. This is closer to Toyah, Texas. Toyah, Texas. Also smack dab in the middle of the wonderful thing called oil fields. Oil fields. You can see the oil plots all over this area. Anywhere from 6 to 10 miles away, if the oil pumping operation or the former oil hole, the drill hole, whether it's pumping or not, that still is a man-made earthquake fault. A man-made earthquake fault is very dangerous. Okay? This whole area is that. Okay? This is Toyah as well. So that is not 30 miles northwest of Mentone. It's Toyah, Texas. Okay? Over here, this is not White City, New Mexico. This is still southwestern Texas. 2.3, 2.1, 1.7, and this is a 1.5, and further west here is a 2.0. All these are southwestern Texas. Oil and gas earthquakes. Oil and gas earthquakes. Up here in the Rocky Mountains. The Rocky Mountains, guys. What do we have here? Lima, Montana. a 2.6 earthquake. 0.8, 2.4. This is 1.3, Spangler, Idaho. This is the western side of the Yellowstone magma chamber. The western side of the Yellowstone magma chamber. This is a 2.2. Further north, this is a 1.5 tremor here. Going into Yellowstone, just north of Yellowstone Lake, this is a 1.0 tremor here, 3.7 miles deep. Up here, Silver Gate, Montana, a 1.0 tremor. There are other tremors and minor earthquakes all over this region because it's Yellowstone. Geysers, magma. The Yellowstone magma chamber is 11 Grand Canyons in size, in case we have some new people here on this channel. 11 Grand Canyons in size. That's why we can go over here to the west and say Lima, Montana, it's in the Yellowstone magma chamber, the western side of the Yellowstone magma chamber. The Yellowstone magma chamber stretches as far north as Canada, and it goes down here into northern Utah. Down here into northern Utah. Okay? Here is a 1.8 near Georgetown, Idaho. Also part of the Yellowstone magma chamber here. That's Bear Lake right there. Bear Lake, the northern part of Bear Lake is in Idaho. The southern part is in northern Utah. A friend of mine has a cabin at Bear Lake. I spent some time at Bear Lake myself over the years. Does anybody have any questions about earthquakes and volcanoes around the planet today? I gave you a quick tour around the world. Okay? I have a lot more things to talk about here. Okay? First, let's talk about the Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. Today, the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives sent a bill to have the President sign a continuing resolution. A continuing resolution, because they have not yet come up with a spending bill. Let me let you see the news report here.
Our senior congressional correspondent, Chad Pergram. Chad.
John, good evening. They have not quite averted a government shutdown, but they are getting close. The House approved a bipartisan 6-week extension, 335 to 91 today. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy leaned on Democrats to get this done.
I'm sure every bet you had was government was going to shut down. I don't know how many times you're going to count us out. But if there's one thing you should start understanding, not just that I'll never give up, but I'm a type of conservative that wants to get things done.
He's not the House
It was always
Speaker.
believed that a bipartisan mix of Democrats and Republicans could avert a shutdown. McCarthy simply could not pass a temporary bill with only GOP members, so he reached across the aisle.
You know, this 11th hour brinksmanship is never a good thing for our country. It wasn't good for the debt ceiling. It's not good for government shutdowns. But thankfully, we got it done. Speaker McCarthy pulled another rabbit out of the hat.
But some conservatives are outraged. They just oppose interim bills on principle. That's because those bills renew old funding on a temporary basis.
Unfortunately, now we're at 45 days of the same bipartisan muscle memory of just a straight up and down vote, and whatever's in it is good with us. So that's why we're $33 trillion in debt and our country is crumbling, because of this place right here.
Working with Democrats could have consequences for McCarthy. GOP Florida Representative Matt Gaetz threatened to hold a vote of no confidence for McCarthy if he worked with Democrats. The Speaker did.
Now they're into something totally separate. McCarthy is no longer the Speaker. The House and the Senate today both sent a bill to the President's desk to have him sign the new continuing resolution. Because yes, the Democrats and the Republicans are the same thing. Okay? They don't want a spending bill that will reduce spending. They want to continue to tax and spend us to death. The only good thing about the bill today, it did not include any funding for Ukraine. But, you need to know, the President just sent another $11 billion to Ukraine. The President just sent another $11 billion to Ukraine. And the funding bill had no money for it. The President is supposed to sign that tonight. He may already have signed it. They sent it to his desk earlier. Something else that you need to know. Today, the wonderful Federal Communications Commission that regulates not just ham radio, but now they regulate the internet. They regulate the internet. Today, November 15th, 2023. You need to remember this. 4 members of the FCC chairmanship, 4 members of the FCC enacted a new rule intending to eliminate supposed discrimination in access to internet services. A move which regulators are calling the first major U.S. digital civil rights policy. Yes, folks, it is a digital civil rights policy. However, it has nothing to do with civil rights. They try to make the new ruling look good to avoid discrimination against people like me or people of color. But it's going to discriminate against people like me. People like me who want to put out content almost directly against the government. Almost directly against the government putting out their own rhetoric. They will be able to now either eliminate this channel or they will buffer it heavily or make it almost impossible to get to hear or to understand or to see, because the government wants ultimate control of everything, including the internet. This order that was signed into power by the Federal Communications Commission has far-reaching consequences. Hopefully, when the new Republican conservative administration takes over next year, they will be able to reverse what has been done today. The ruling does not take effect for a couple more days. However, it will affect all of us. There have been many court and Supreme Court challenges to the rulings in the past since the 2010 ruling during the Obama years. And we are hoping that this will stop with today's new FCC liberal ruling. We hope that it will be reversed, because the FCC wants us to believe that it's all about preventing discrimination to people of color and people of low income. It is not just that. During today's FCC hearing, Brendan Carr, who is one of the agency's commissioners, argued that the new policies opened up the agency to potential litigation. Of course it did, because the last time the FCC tried this, it was litigated away. It went to the U.S. Supreme Court that reversed it. Okay? Brendan Carr, who's one of the FCC's new commissioners. Guess what, folks? That dirtbag, I'm calling him a dirtbag. Because, folks, guess what? He is the chairman and vice president of Verizon Wireless. Verizon Wireless. Verizon would be directly affected by this ruling, and Verizon Wireless would be affected by making tons and tons of money. Okay? He said it would open up litigation, which it will. Okay? It would hamper operations by the telecommunications industry, all of us. He said, quote, "It's all about control. It's all about control. The telecommunications industry has entered a Faustian's bargain." Remember Mr. Fauci? He said the communications industry has entered a Faustian bargain by supporting the bipartisan law and had previously called the framework a power grab. It's a power grab. The FCC set this up to re-implement the landmark net neutrality rules that were rescinded under the Trump administration. The net neutrality rules that were set up under Obama. Senator Cruz came into this discussion. Senator Cruz reacted to the FCC's vote to finalize digital equity plan. Senator Cruz said, the United States Commerce Committee ranking member Ted Cruz, Republican of Texas, released the following statement after the FCC ruling came out to finalize digital discrimination order. The order. Cruz said, quote, "Despite admitting there's little to no evidence of discrimination by telecommunications companies, the Democrats are hoping to convince American people that broadband internet is so racist that they need to plow ahead with government-mandated affirmative action and race-based pricing." Race-based pricing. The only beneficiaries of this Orwellian equity plan are overzealous government regulators who want to control the internet. Control people like me. Okay? This is incredible. Today, Cruz led 27 of his colleagues in calling on the Federal Communications Commission to rescind its draft order. 27 congressmen and senators are asking the FCC to rescind their order, which would give the federal government control over nearly every aspect of the internet, while supposedly opening broadband providers to expansive, indeterminate, and crippling liability under a desperate impact standard. That's what these clowns did. These Democrat clowns, guys. These Democrat clowns. They want to continue to gain control over all of us. We complained over the past 4 years. We complained about the past 4 years. How the government was forcing us off the internet. Literally forcing us out. How are they doing that? Because, folks, you've seen buffering. You've seen a lot of buffering over the past few years. You've also seen channels taken down, including my last channel. because of government control over Google and YouTube. It's continuing to happen, and if these clowns get away with it, it's going to get worse. Channels like mine will be taken down by Google and YouTube because they're also run by liberal people in California who every chance they get kiss the feet of their president, Mr. Biden. And they're willing to bend the rules and do whatever it takes to take people down, to keep their mouths quiet. Okay? Juby Joe says nobody can deal with this. You're absolutely right, Juby Joe. Nobody can deal with this. It has to stop. My advice to each one of you and anyone else that hears this program: write to your senators and congressmen and tell them to tell the FCC to rescind their daggum order. Rescind it or else. They will lose their jobs. Those chairmen of the FCC can lose their jobs, including the vice president of Verizon Internet. He needs to go away. He needs to go away, and go away soon. Does anybody have any questions about anything that I've talked about tonight? I know I've talked about a lot. Oh, one more thing. Folks, I want to show you this. The solar flares are continuing. The solar flares are continuing. Watch this. Okay? This is coronal mass ejections. Look at the bottom of the eyepiece here. Look at that solar flare that launched out late this afternoon. Watch it again. It's beginning right there, it's going out. You can expect to get hit with plasma radiation either Sunday or by Monday at the latest as a result of this eruption today. It was on the southern part of the sun. It's going to be a glancing blow, but it is going to have effects on the earth. Okay? It will have effects on the earth. Any questions? Any questions, guys? I know it's 9 o'clock. Okay? We're at the 2-hour time limit I set for myself. I want to thank everybody for being here. Right now it shows us 120 thumbs up. It shows 95 people watching our program right now. I appreciate that immensely. Okay? Before I leave you tonight, tomorrow night we're going to be talking about rules and regulations of politicians. Rules and regulations that will affect each one of us. I urge each of you to tell your friends, your family, your neighbors, everybody that you know, the people you work with, and the people you see here on the internet. Tell them what we're going to be talking about, that it will affect them. I will have Cowboy Roy Rogers here with me. Okay? You're going to see it tomorrow night. Juby Joe, I've just got one more thing here. I want to go over to the New Testament in Galatians chapter 5. In Galatians chapter 5, verses 22, 23, and 24. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith. The fruit of the Spirit. When we are deeply connected to Christ through the Holy Ghost, we're going to feel joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith. Verse 23, but we must have meekness and temperance. Against such there is no law. Verse 24, and they that are Christ's have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vain glory, provoking one another, or envying one another. Okay? Yes, the Apostle Paul wrote that, but it is still true today. May God bless us with meekness and temperance, true brotherly love, with love unfeigned, and meekness and faith. May God bless us this day, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. May God be with you this day. May God be with you until we meet again. That's my prayer for each one of you. Have a good night, folks. We will see you on the other side. See you tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Good night, everybody.